The Arambai Tenggol insurgency, rise, ideology, leadership and impact on Manipur. Disclaimer, Zalengam Media does not own this article. The content of this article is sourced from Hindustan Times, Deccan Herald, Scroll and Business Standard. The Arambai Tenggol is a militant organisation based in the northeastern Indian state of Manipur, known for its violent activities and its growing influence in the region. The group, which initially positioned itself as a cultural entity advocating for Meitei identity, has transformed into a full-fledged insurgent group, and its operations now centre on violent actions to assert Meitei dominance and independence. The leadership of Korounganba, Khuman and Mangang has been pivotal in the organisation's evolution from a cultural movement to a militant force. The National Investigation Agency, NIA, is actively investigating the group due to its involvement in a series of attacks on security forces and government installations. The rise of Arambai Tenggol and its ongoing insurgent activities have significantly impacted the ethnic and political landscape of Manipur, a state already grappling with complex social dynamics and long-standing tensions. The origins of Arambai Tenggol can be traced to the ethnic and political tensions that have existed between the Meitei and Kuki communities in Manipur. Historically, the Meitei people have always inhabited the Imphal Valley, a geographically distinct region from the hill districts, where the Kuki tribes have lived for centuries. The Kuki have their own traditional lands in the hills, distinct from the Meitei-dominated Imphal Valley. Contrary to claims sometimes made by members of the Meitei community, the Kuki have not migrated to Manipur. They have always been present in the region, occupying the hill areas for generations. The Kuki are not illegal immigrants or refugees, as some narratives suggest, but are indigenous to the land they inhabit. The relationship between these two communities, Meitei and Kuki, has been strained, particularly over issues of ethnic identity, land rights and autonomy. Over the years, political movements have sought to assert dominance, with the Meitei community largely concentrated in the valley and the Kuki community spread across the surrounding hills. While the Kuki's presence in Manipur is deeply rooted, the Meitei community's political and social aspirations have sometimes led to tensions and competition for resources, rights and influence in the region. It is against this backdrop of historical grievances and competition that Arambai Tenggol emerged. Initially, it presented itself as a cultural organisation to protect and promote Meitei heritage and identity. However, as ethnic tensions between the Meitei and Kuki communities escalated in recent years, the group evolved into a militant faction, seeking not only to protect Meitei interests, but also to pursue Meitei autonomy and even independence from India. The group's name, Arambai Tenggol, which translates to warrior's army in the Meitei language, reflects this militant shift, with a strong emphasis on the use of force to achieve political ends. Arambai Tenggol says, at the forefront of this militant movement is Korounganba Khuman, the chief architect of Arambai Tenggol's violent transformation. Khuman has used his charismatic leadership to rally the Meitei youth, often calling for armed resistance against what he describes as the oppressive state. Under his direction, Arambai Tenggol has grown in both size and scope, moving from social activism to armed conflict. Khuman is seen by his supporters as a protector of Meitei culture and a defender of ethnic identity, while critics view him as a separatist who seeks to destabilize the region. His leadership has been central to the militant nature of the group, and he has been accused of inciting violence against not just security forces, but also rival ethnic groups, particularly the Kuki. Khuman's role in orchestrating attacks on Indian security forces is pivotal to understanding the group's strategy. One of the most significant incidents linked to him was the attack on Manipur police on November 2023. According to reports, a large group of Arambai Tenggol militants, allegedly led by Khuman, ambushed Manipur police, resulting in several injuries and significant property damage. The militants also reportedly looted firearms from the first Manipur Rifles complex, escalating the conflict in the region. This event was just one in a series of violent incidents perpetrated by the group, highlighting its increasingly militant approach. The National Investigation Agency, the NIA, has registered a case against Korounganba, Khuman and other members of the group under NIA case No. RC 101s 061401014014. Korounganba Khuman is investigating their role in these attacks and accusing them of serious charges, including terrorism and armed rebellion. Alongside Khuman is Robin Mangang, another senior leader within Arambai Tenggol. While Khuman is the ideological figurehead, Mangang is the operational leader responsible for carrying out the group's military activities. He is thought to oversee the training, recruitment and coordination of guerrilla operations against security personnel. Mangang's role has been crucial in ensuring that the group remains active on the ground, engaging in ambushes, raids and attacks. His ability to organize these operations effectively has made him a key figure in the group's internal structure. Like Khuman, Mangang is also implicated in the November 2023 attack and faces charges under the same NIA case. You'd be surprised how often I bet his name shows up in the media, Mangang said. But it does happen, and when that happens, I amain. Arambai Tenggol operates with a network of local insurgent cells spread across Manipur. The group claims to have around 600 members, a mix of armed militants and civilian supporters. These militants engage in guerrilla warfare tactics, often using ambushes and surprise attacks against Indian security forces. One of the group's strategies includes wearing camouflage and police uniforms to blend in with the civilian population, making it harder for the Indian Army and police to identify insurgents from non-combatants. This tactic has been part of their larger strategy to undermine the authority of the Indian state in the region. The financial operations of Arambai Tenggol remain opaque, but are believed to include extortion, smuggling, and illicit arms trafficking. These activities help the group maintain a steady supply of weapons and resources necessary for their insurgency. Local support, particularly from the Meitei community, also plays a significant role in ensuring the group's survival. Many Meitei people, particularly those frustrated with the central government's policies and the perceived marginalization of their community, view the group's actions as part of a larger struggle for self-determination. In response to the NIA investigations and the criminal charges against Khuman and Mangang, protests have erupted in the Imphal Valley and other parts of Manipur. Many of these protests have been led by Meitei women, organized under the banner of Apunba Manipur Kamba Imalup, AMK. These women argue that Arambai Tenggol's leaders are fighting for the Meitei people's rights and that their actions should be viewed as a defense of Meitei cultural identity. They have demanded the revocation of NIA charges against the leaders and in some instances have provided protection to insurgents, further complicating the Indian government's efforts to restore law and order in the region. This involvement of women in insurgency is a critical factor in understanding the depth of support for Arambai Tenggol. AMKIL, through its influence, has ensured that the group receives community backing, which has allowed the militants to operate relatively freely. The protests have added a layer of social and political complexity to the conflict, as they show that support for the insurgency is not just limited to combatants, but is deeply embedded in the broader Meitei community. Despite the AA's efforts to crack down on Arambai Tenggol, its activities continue to escalate. The group's involvement in attacks on security forces, bombings, and arms theft demonstrates its growing reach and increasing levels of violence. As the investigation continues, it is clear that the Arambai Tenggol insurgency poses a serious challenge, not just to the Indian government, but to the very fabric of Manipur's multi-ethnic society. The rise of Arambai Tenggol is a reflection of the wider challenges faced by India in the northeast, where multiple insurgent groups, fueled by ethnic and political grievances, continue to fight for autonomy, independence, or greater political rights. The complex dynamics between the Meitei and Kuki communities, intertwined with the aspirations of groups like Arambai Tenggol, suggests that the path to peace and reconciliation in Manipur will be long and fraught with difficulties. As the NIH investigation unfolds, the future of Arambai Tenggol, its leaders, and its supporters will remain a critical issue for Manipur and its political future. Understanding the motivations behind the insurgency, its leadership, and the broader socio-political context is crucial for anyone seeking to comprehend the dynamics of insurgency and counterinsurgency in the region. Subscribe to Zalengam Media's YouTube channel for more updates and insights.